tuned to Off the Ball, the most petty and ill-informed sports programme on radio. The week in Scottish football. What does Stirling mean to you? On the pitch. And one word, it is babysitting. I'm Stuart Cosgrove, he's Tam Cowan, and you're tuned to the odd couple of Scottish football. Yes, indeed, Thomas. It's been another wondrous week in Scottish football, and I have to say, without any ambiguity, the Terrors are back. Dundee United officially are now the champions of the Championship and will return, one might say, to their rightful place in the top league in Scotland.
Well, to quote one of my pals who is a Dundee United fan, I got a text from him last night. He was at the game. A text for him at full time. It says, "I think we can still arse this up." So that says it all about Dundee United over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah.
But no, brilliant. Dundee United, I'm sorry, but back where they belong. They should never have been in the lower leagues in the first place. Absolutely disgraceful stuff. But yeah, it was great. It was a shocking game last night. Let's be brutally honest, right? It was awful.
Rotten. You know, one thing, the BBC has had a great track record of choosing brilliant games.
Right,
the last couple of weeks it's been a bit
and it's that, as they say, the business end, when you're maybe expecting the games, if even just for excitement value, to be a bit better. But no, that
fortunately, there was a pitch invasion to get the emotions going.
That's one of the things then we're talking about on the pitch, because that's 2 games in the bounce now. They've been getting a wee bit ahead of themselves, Dundee United, helped by Airdrie, who applauded them onto the pitch last night, even though they didn't have the silverware in their hands. But good on Airdrie. Have you ever applauded opponents on the pitch, or have you witnessed the Guard of Honour?
Yes. Actually, do you know what? There's a weird thing that when we played Galatasaray in Perth, because they were such a big team at the time, there was a kind of wide round of applause for them being as significant players in
right. I remember
football.
doing it, and it was they fully deserved. 1983, a beautiful late spring, early summer evening at Fir Park. I was 14, and that great Aberdeen team came for a midweek game at Fir Park because they had so many European games they were playing. They had a backlog of domestic fixtures. They had just qualified for the final against Real Madrid in Gothenburg.
Are you implying there that Scottish football didn't help them out?
I wonder what the story with that was back then.
Games.
We've had a few stories like that in recent years, you know. But yeah, they just got on with it, shall we say. But they came out deservedly so. They were away there to represent Scotland, of course, and when they ran out, that brilliant team, and Jim Leighton and Stuart Kennedy, I think, Willie Miller, McLeish, Strachan, McMaster, when they came out, Guard of Honour for the Motherwell players, and honestly, I get goosebumps just thinking about it now. The Motherwell fans rousing in the reception, and you know the best thing about it was they hadn't put the tools away, you know, and coming to Fir Park. They put on it was like the Harlem Globetrotters. They just put on this exhibition. They whipped us 3-0, and then they got applauded back off the pitch. So good on Airdrie for doing that.
Here's a question for you: if you supported Falkirk or Stenhousemuir, would you be slightly bored now because they won the league weeks ago?
Well, that's what happens. On the pitch, we'll jump right to that, because that's one of our talking points. The Dundee United fans have been on the pitch the last 2 games, Tannadice, and then last night's game against Airdrie when the final whistle was blown. So when you talk about early, I was looking at them in chronological order. The first senior football pitch I was on was Starks Park. The Davy Hay Motherwell team that I mentioned from time to time, season 81-82, and we ran away with the old First Division top scorers in British football. We clinched the title at Starks Park, a midweek game, and maybe a Motherwell fan can help me here. It was ridiculously early, Stuart. If it wasn't late March. It was early April, but it was really early, and the Motherwell fans straight on the park there to salute the players. You then jump on, I think 2 years, was 83 kind of quite the height of the casual movement?
It was certainly a period, yeah.
Right, well, 2 years later then, that would have been at Fir Park. Were there, quite a big crowd, Motherwell against Aberdeen, again that great Aberdeen team, and Aberdeen casuals get into the home end, if you like, and up the back of the terracing in the home end, and we all get kind of pushed down
forward,
and we started going on the park, and suddenly you were right on there, like shoulder. Well, I wasn't shoulder to shoulder, I was only a wee guy then, but with Willie Miller and Strachan and all the rest of it. Well, I'd been shoulder to shoulder with wee Gordon, but no Willie Miller. But so that was the second time I was on the park. The third time I was on a park, I've done 4 of them in Scotland. McDermott, of course, talking of Gordon Strachan, the testimonial game.
Yes.
When me, you and John Robertson
were
asked to do a penalty shootout competition, and the wee guy who, I'll forever ask you his name, who was the goalie I put the 3 past? I can never remember. It's absolutely appalling. Kevin Cuthbert.
And Kevin, congratulations, just opened a new fitness centre in Perth.
Good on him.
Yeah.
So Kevin Cuthbert, and as I say, the third one, playing to the gallery, which I scored by taking my spectacles off first. So, and the fourth, the embarrassing one, the real embarrassing one. I mean, the other things were great moments, celebrating with Motherwell, getting to rub shoulders with Willie Miller, scoring penalty kicks. Somerset Park. This is already, though, at least a good 10, 12 years ago, maybe. And I was asked, Motherwell were playing a pre-season friendly against Ayr United, and I was going to, the plan was go down to Ayr during the day with one of my mates who's no longer with us, sadly, and get a wee restaurant review done during the day, kill 2 birds and all that, and then maybe go to the game at night, and because it was pre-season, the weather was lovely and that. But as the food and indeed the drink had been quaffed, suddenly a pre-season friendly didn't have the same lure.
Quaff food?
You can. I can. I just like that. But so we're saying, are we going to this game? Are we going to this game? Just at that, I got a text from a guy who was certainly back then involved with United, and I'd done a couple of things for him in the past, and he says, Tam, and it was some charity thing, are you coming to the game tonight? And I thought, right, he's wanting me to go down and get a photo or present a cheque to something or something like that. I says aye, and I made my mind, I says aye. But I was bluttered. I was bluttered, so was my pal, but we went down. Now, it turns out, it was another penalty shootout. It wasn't presenting a cheque. And I went on to the park with what I would call a pair of slacks. I did have a pair of breeks on for some reason, and a pair of dress shoes. And I was then meant to hit penalties, and I cringe. So I've been on 4. Tell us, for whatever reason, before I ask Stuart, ladies and gents, on the pitch, it might just be your own club's park. You might have been at a car boot sale, but it was on a lower league club's park. On the pitch, because Stuart, you can elevate it to London, of course.
Yeah, well, Wembley. I was on the pitch that famous day at Wembley. It's a curious thing, though, that some pitch invasions are tolerated and actually cheered on, and others are always a wee bit of a stain on the reputation. And that one's changed over the years as being, a great historic moment in Scottish football. Then other people saying, we caused a lot of damage there, it was humiliating,
Well, you explained this morning the rule change, because a bit like Wembley last night, you saw the young Dundee United fan getting on the crossbar, but as you pointed out to me, if the crossbar had snapped, it wasn't a matter of Airdrie invoicing Dundee United.
No,
the rule now states what?
It's a weird thing. This is one of the things that I always have believed, that you can tell what group of fans are actually responsible for something, but the rules tend to favour the idea of, did the home club, in this case Airdrie, provide adequate stewarding and all the rest of it, and the responsibility and the strict liability, it doesn't really apply. And I think it should in Scottish football, because there is, having said that, there is a kind of relationship built up over the years. Celtic and Rangers fans frequently pay for any damage done at, say, McDermott Park or at Motherwell. If there are seats that are damaged, the invoice invoice goes in and it's paid, and that's become a kind of custom and practice. But in reality, the strictest liability, I think, should be with the team responsible for the activity, not blaming stewards or lack of policing or whatever. But that's an opinion.
Who was the guy, if he's not tuned into the show, we'd love to know the guy's name, but the guy who did go on the crossbar last night, the Dundee United fan, there'll be somebody tuned in that says, oh, that was so-and-so. Just give us his name anyway.
Can I just say, one disappointment for me, Dundee United fans have been extremely slow on this one. Normally, when there's guys doing the kind of on the pitch bouncy castle trying to claim opposition fans, very quickly somebody comes out with the Benny Hill theme and plays them out. And there's not been one of them yet.
Well, that's the thing. After being the guard of honour applauded onto the pitch and all that, fans are fans. So the Airdrie fans weren't enjoying the OTT celebrations, and particularly when that wee guy and I think a couple others started getting on the crossbar and that. So yeah, I thought it maybe could have kicked off, but me and you always sing for the same hymn sheet here. They were celebrating. I didn't see any. I didn't see any violence.
I didn't see it as being in any way hugely intimidating.
So dry your eyes. Now, on the pitch then, give us your tales there.
Well, one thing that I really want to kind of pay homage to was the beginning of Derek McInnes's rise as a manager. St Johnstone won the league at Perth against Morton. Good game as well, because Morton took the lead. We won 3-1 in the end, and it was a great master class from Paul Sheeran, who of course is still with Derek at Kilmarnock and was singing his praises this week. And they all went on the pitch at the end. A lot of fans were on, but all the players came on. They brought their kids on, and so there was quite a lot of kind of goodwill, as it were, towards the invasion, because it was something that was virtually endorsed by the club. And I vividly remember that. That was when we won the league at Perth. And of course, Derek McInnes after that then moved on. Do you think Aberdeen are slightly kicking themselves that they let him go?
Well, it's the old thing. I think it seemed at the time that both parties were quite happy with the parting of the ways.
Yeah, well, let's ask that of one of our guests today, Michael Grant, who's an Aberdeen fan.
Well, let's also ask Michael. I wonder if he was here on Thursday night. It was the Aberdeen Player of the Year ceremony on Thursday night. The best thing, my pal Darren, who is a big Aberdeen fan, he was at it, and he texted me a photo from it on Thursday night, and he said the biggie that we're waiting for here tonight is who's going to get Manager of the Year. Would they give Barry Robson made a decent start
and then
Peter Leavin keeps coming in, and
then Warnock
gets a lot of plaudits. Warnock, I want to ask Michael as well, because apparently, and I missed this, it went under the radar for me, but I think Neil Warnock has since given his side of the story from south of the border about what exactly went on at Aberdeen. So I'll ask Michael about that as well, and the Aberdeen Player of the Year, and you can ask him about Derek McInnes.
We can indeed. Our other two guests are Roscoe McClelland, the comedian Roscoe, a big Rangers fan. We'll be talking to him about what's coming up in his life and career, and Craig Robertson, who gives us a help with another subject that we're talking about today. Craig is an author and a crime writer, and his current book is The Trials of Marjorie Crowe. Now, why has Craig Robertson given us another talking point?
He's given us another talking point. Is he originally from Stirling?
Correct.
Oh, he is? Right. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. What does Stirling mean to you? We've not done one of these for a while, and we'd certainly never done it about Stirling. And it's Stirling basically is celebrating its 900th anniversary. The place with such a great history, of course, in Scotland. So we're just asking, what does Stirling mean to you, Stuart?
Well, what it means to me is it's significantly younger than the transgender Fortingall yew tree.
Oh, yeah. I was telling you about that. I read it. It was fascinating. I remember reading it or watching even maybe a documentary about years ago, but it popped up in the one of the papers this week again. And this tree that is 5,000 years old, but this amazing thing happened where it basically turned from male to female, and what they meant by that was it started growing berries, and it is only, in quotes, a female tree that grows berries.
Yeah.
So this tree is now a female. I think it's also had its roots done. Aye. But this tree. But I was reading this and I never thought reading an article about a tree in Perthshire would be fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was. It needs a David Attenborough programme.
I think it's a subject that you have to tiptoe very gently around, Tam. This transgender tree.
No, you need to tiptoe around about it because it's a yew tree. We don't want to get back to that era.
And
the chap at the door.
And by the way, the wonderful photograph of it by Magnus Jackson, who's a very famous Victorian photographer in Perth. He's taken a brilliant black and white, the first ever photographic image of the Fortingall yew.
So it's Fortingall, that's how you say it. Thank you. Right, there we go. Don't know what goes on to that, but Stirling, I'll give you my 3 things about Stirling, and they would be nerves stroke diarrhea. Second one would be projectile vomiting.
Yeah.
And the third one would be laughing until the tears were coming out every orifice. That would be Stirling. Wow. I had the great honour and privilege indeed of being booked to do the Millennium Countdown at Hogmanay.
Oh, right,
at Stirling Castle. You remember, right?
Yes, I do.
And wow, as I say, that's, to use the old line, that's when you realise that adrenaline is brown.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of behind the scenes on the, what is it they call it in a castle? It's not the Esplanade. What is the main, Edinburgh Castle, where they do the tattoo and all that?
Yeah.
What's that bit called? You know what I mean?
I'm not a great military historian.
Anyway, I'd been booked with that and kind of behind the scenes. I had to go introduce a couple of bands and stuff. And then, of course, crucially, lead the punters, the good people of Stirling, into the countdown to the bell. So I went up, introduced a couple of bands, did a couple of Mags Haney jokes. That was shooty in at that era, right? Yeah. But you know what? I'd forgotten that the size of the crowd that was going to be there that night.
Yeah.
So when I got up for the backstage, if you like, and suddenly we're up, oh, wow. It was like, if I had just done a Des O'Connor, who famously faked fainting at the Glasgow Empire because he just couldn't face the audience. If that thought had been in my head, I think I'd have gone for it, you know. But it was I was so proud that I did it though. So that was
and a decent earner.
Yes,
indeed. In fact, I know exactly the amount from the director on the night, Jane Spears, who used to be my next door neighbour in Perth.
Oh wow! Right, okay.
Jane's up in Aberdeen now, so.
So anyway, so that had been the diarrhea, the projectile vomiting. Wow! And I was so glad that we gave him one of his last ever gigs in Scotland. He's now hale and hearty and out there in Australia. Alex Smith,
yes,
a legendary Scottish football figure, and I had the great
one of these guys that was sort of almost close to a genius, wasn't he?
Oh
he
yeah, absolutely.
And really knew the game inside out.
A lovely man, but it was a kind of Billy Bremner tribute night on, I think, an anniversary of Billy's passing, and it was it was in Dunblane at the Dunblane Hydro. And I ended up in the company of 2 guys who'd both been on the show by then, Alex Smith and Jockey Scott.
Right.
Note to self, never try and keep up with him drink for drink ever again.
Yeah.
But I was getting my mate, you'd been in his motor, Johnny Weir, to come pick me up.
Yeah.
There's a taxi, and so that's always a wee handy thing. I was 4, 5, 6 sheets to the wind. So Alec was going into Stirling, so Alec, I'll get you wrapped off. Alec was away with it as well, right? And so, that'd be great, Tom, that'd be great. So jumps in the motorways, right, blah, 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 we're driving. So we're in, we're heading through Stirling, not quite sure we're going. And Alex says to my mate Johnny, sitting in the front driving, you just stop here, driver. And I thought, well, is this where he lives? Right, okay, fine. And Alec got out, but he wasn't getting out to get home. He just half opened the door and went, and it was like a 23 pinter of
projectile vomiting.
The minute he get that up, he just got back and says, I needed that. And away we went, dropped him off. So I've seen one of the great Scottish managers projectile vomiting, and the tears of laughter. What does Stirling mean to you? Okay, Stirling, out the car. Ricky Fulton, the Super Cop, just one of the great comic creations. And if you to nominate your best Super Cop, I think the majority of people would say when he pulled over Mark McManus Taggart. What a great sketch. Absolutely joyous.
And
So
can I pay a wee homage to St Modens in Stirling?
Oh, aye.
It keeps
Yep.
cropping up on the show. Name me 3 famous former pupils.
Well, the aforementioned Billy Bremner.
Yeah.
And then the gentleman, good pal of mine, and he's been on the show many, the creator of Only an Excuse, who went on to write a play about him and Billy Bremner, how their paths crossed. That would be Philip Differ.
Yeah.
And the third one,
Currently a manager of a Scottish Championship team.
Big Dunk.
Aye.
There we go, Big Duncan Ferguson. Aye.
That's right.
So there you go. Good school then for producing those boys.
Let's hear of anybody else who has any connection with St Modens and Stirling.
And in general terms, what does Stirling mean to you? Just simple as that. It could be a game, it could be an event, it could have been something you were at in Stirling, it could have something to do with a relative, anything at all. What does Stirling mean to you on the pitch? What pitch have you been on? And Stuart, we might as well, before we come to all the football stuff, the last one we're getting out of the way, I just knew we'd never done this on the show ever. It's a topic that the vast majority of people have got some experience of from either end. Babysitting.
Yep.
Now, the reason it got us into that, I was hoping today we could have paid tribute to an iconic figure of my childhood, and she looks exactly the same as she always did. Floella Benjamin, the great Floella Benjamin,
lovely.
right?
Yeah,
and she's
lovely.
now, what is she, a baroness or a dame?
Yes, she is.
Both?
I think she's a dame, actually.
Right,
Dame
well, Floella Benjamin, it was reported this week, she's getting honoured with the BAFTA Fellowship.
Yeah.
One of the top awards given out by BAFTA. She's the recipient for 2024. So it got me thinking, Floella Benjamin, the play school legend when I was a kid, and she was a fixture, daily TV viewing. But then you dropped this absolute bombshell. What's your connection with Floella Benjamin?
The connection here is that I was for 3 or 4 days in Derry, a judge of the Turner Prize, which was the Turner Prize was being unveiled at the arts centre called the Barracks in Derry, and what had happened was that I was one on the judging panel, as was Floella Benjamin. Now, I'd gone over there.
Brian Cant, snubbed again.
Exactly. I'd gone over there, and because my son Jack was only a baby, we'd taken him over. We'd checked into our hotel, and during the day I had judging duties, and then in the late afternoon we could go off and do our thing. And Floella, darling that she is, said, why don't you two go off and have a nice wee meal together, and I'll take Jack and look after him. So wow. Floella Benjamin was Jack Cosgrove's babysitter.
And you know what? I'm struggling to think of a better babysitter. The woman who was a legend for our relationship with youngsters, with kids on the telly. Yeah. She knew how to speak to them. She knew how to entertain them. She could sing. She could dance. She could play. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
She could go down to the market and sell them to a travelling family. You never know.
That's absolutely amazing.
And that's a family that happens to be travelling through Derry,
right,
unless anyone takes any...
Well, my babysitting thing immediately makes me think that my wife... was dead against the very idea of babysitting. My wife and I'm the same as well. Non-stop worriers. And I remember we managed once to get, and it was a great wee off-season deal. And because my wee girl Sophie was just a baby, there was no school holidays, prices got up. We managed through a pal to get a great deal to go to the wonderful Glen Eagles for a couple of nights, right? And it was Washers, right? It was great.
The Torquay one or the one in Perthshire?
The Torquay one was in the news this week as well. I was telling you about it. I was contacted. It was one of my readers in the Record contacted me this week to say they'd been doing it at Torquay, and they were saddened. They made a point of trying to go to see the Glen Eagles Hotel, upon which Fawlty Towers was based.
Yeah.
John Cleese and the Monty Python boys had stayed at this Glen Eagles Hotel when they were making Monty Python.
Yeah.
Or that might have been one of the movies. And that's what sparked everything. There was a Basil Fawlty type guy that ran the Glen Eagles.